Hi, this is Dr. Clayton. Welcome to another episode of Hypnosis Chat. Today we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions, losing weight, eating right, exercising, and how to do all those things. I have with me Anthony Lewis, who's a certified personal trainer. He works with people every day on all of these goals. So I figured we would put our heads together and come up with some great ideas for everyone at home.
Absolutely.
So we've got a new year coming up, and that's, I guess, traditionally a time everybody tries to meet their goals, really the things they've wanted to do all year long.
All year.
And I guess it's the time, it's like a set time where they can be like, okay, I'll do it then.
And the gyms are jam-packed. And
for that reason.
A lot of New Year, New Me hashtags on social media going on. A lot of workout videos. So generally when it comes to fitness, people tend to have a difficult time keeping their momentum going, keeping their motivation up. And you see just a lot more of it at the start of the new year. There are a lot more people working out or trying to start a workout regimen. And you see a lot more of people like kind of, that's where you see the trend. Like people are working out maybe 4 to 5 months. That's when the gym is really packed until May. And then that's where you see the gyms start to get empty. So
why do you think that is? Why do people, why do they stop? Why is it May? Why do they go that long? Why don't they stop sooner? Why don't they stop later?
Yeah. That's what I was trying to speak to. In general, when people start off workout regimens, it's hard to keep them going. The New Year is a time where you see a lot more of it. So the question really is, why don't people stay motivated long enough to reach a fitness goal at any time? Because you see a lot more of it between January and May, because that's when everyone's doing it. So the reason is, in general, people don't see, just like anything, people don't see the results they want to see soon enough. And that's what the trick is going to be. Like,
and so are you mostly talking about gyms for the May? I'm wondering if it's different for people that work out at home or try to go running.
That may be a good point to examine. I actually used to work out in a gym, and work in a gym, excuse me.
Right.
As a fitness director, I was a fitness director in a gym, where I would see the trend in the gym. And that's a good point to make. When it's warmer outside, especially in the Hampton Roads area, a lot of people are working out outside at parks when it's warmer outside, and then the gyms aren't as populated. So that's something else to consider.
I guess the gym is a place that's heated, air conditioned. So I guess maybe when it gets nice outside, people. I wonder if do you think a lot of people drop out at like the end of January? Do gyms like contract you in for several months, or how does that work?
The one I worked at would. So there was a penalty to pay if you cancel your membership. They would charge you like that.
When 6 months, 5 months.
There was either a cancellation fee, or they would charge you that entire month that you quit. So like if you canceled, like for example, at the end of January, they would still charge you for February, something like that.
Yeah. So I wonder if that has to do with why people even stayed with it that long. That's what I'm wondering. Because a lot of people, they, in my experience, which is not a gym experience, it's a different setting. It's like 2 weeks.
Okay.
So it's like 2 weeks later, you're asking someone, what happened to your workout schedule? So gotcha. I'm almost thinking the only reason they stay until May is because for contractual reasons.
That's a good point to make too.
So really, why is that? And you brought up one answer, which is they're not seeing results fast enough.
Not seeing results.
Now I'm wondering how much of that is because they're doing things incorrectly. I wonder how much of it is because they're not doing it enough. Or I'm wondering maybe they're on the way to getting results and they quit. Or even, I don't know, maybe they get results and then they quit.
Okay.
And actually one thing that I've found, I actually have my own answers to a lot of those questions. One thing I've found is that, and this I found to be super important, you can be motivated positively or negatively. So if you're motivated positively, that means you're trying to get to something. If you're motivated negatively, you're trying to get away from something. So, for example, a lot of people think, oh, I'm fat, so I need to work out and lose some weight. And what happens is, certainly there's a fair share of people that just they just stay fat and they don't do anything effective and they quit before. But then there's people who do it for a while and really put their nose to the grindstone. And what happens is very interesting. They start having success, and because they were motivated negatively, that pressure to work out is eased. So they don't feel as much push to work out because, hey, I'm not as fat. Maybe I'll work out tomorrow instead. So, the real question is, well, how do you get a program and stick on it? What are the factors? What can you, the audience member, do to maximize your motivation, your effectiveness, and the efficiency with which you meet your fitness goals? So that's kind of what we want to talk about today. So let's see. What do you think? What's one thing that people could do or think or decide that would help them meet their fitness goals more efficiently?
So a lot of times people are hindered when they first start their fitness journey because they may feel like they don't know where to start. So if you have no idea where to start, it's always a good idea to start by seeking the counsel of a professional. And and they're going to tell you exactly what you should be doing. And what I'm about to say is start slow. So you're actually going to be, because if you're new to fitness, you're deconditioned, and you're going to work your way up physically and mentally by starting slow. And that also helps to alleviate some of that pressure, some of that pressure that you feel like I got to do this, I'm fat, I got to do this. Hopefully that will help to alleviate some of that pressure to know that it's not going to be so bad starting out.
Okay, so how slow? How slow are we talking about? What are some examples?
So as slow as you need to be to figure out your functionalities. So I, as a fitness director in the gym, I interviewed hundreds of people, and I work with people who were already in shape. I work with people who didn't have hardly any functionality with their legs, who could hardly walk. So I work with all kinds of people. So slow is going to be based on where your level is. So I'm assuming that most people who are trying to be, most of our audience are people who are deconditioned. You will want to start just by seeing what you can do, like a functionality test, seeing what you can actually do. That's how slow I would start someone in a session, and their very first time working out, I'm going to see what they can physically do. So
certainly a trainer could help you assess
absolutely
what your current functionality is. So let's just say you wanted to do like a pre-trainer test.
Yeah, it's actually called a functionality movement screen. There's actually a thing that you can do when you first get with a trainer. Yeah. Like
stepping up on blocks?
Yeah. You have the stick, and you hold the stick behind yourself, you do a lunge, you do different push-up motions and turn yourself. And
so let's say someone wanted to start with a really simple functionality test, maybe see how long you can walk. Okay. That would be a functionality test, right?
Right. So,
maybe starting at 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, or maybe just start walking. And if you start to feel like there's any kind of pain, or if you feel like you need to stop, then stop.
Absolutely.
A lot of it, I think, is people are intimidated by the idea that that they'll have to do so much. That they'll have to do. They heard that you need to work out an hour a day, or they heard that you need to do this or that, and they're like, well, I can't do that. Unconsciously they're thinking, I can't do that, so if I go to try, anything that I do will be inadequate. And
exactly.
You have to recognize that thought and eliminate it first thing. So it's, certainly you might want to work up to a certain amount of time, but you should start with something that is both physically and mentally manageable.
Exactly.
If you think about it and it seems overwhelming, don't do that. Do something else, or do it slower, or do it shorter.
Perfect.
So being able to, do something that seems like, for example, anyone could, almost anyone could stand up and stretch. So, and one other really interesting thing I found is that, and this is another super interesting thing, like if I were to think about just getting up and sprinting right now, I wouldn't want to do that because I'm not physically ready to do it. And I think that a lot of people, when they think about working out, they think about something that they're not currently physically ready to do. So, for example, if if you take someone who's been working out for a long time or who works out regularly, and you have them think about a workout, they'll probably think about warming up first. That's probably a normal part of it. But I'm willing to bet that people who don't work out that much, if you ask them to think about working out, they think about the peak of the workout.
Think about a CrossFit competition or something.
Yeah. Or even just like if they're thinking about jogging, thinking about just jogging as opposed to warming up to the jog. And if you're not physically ready to do something, you are unconsciously not going to want to do it. So you have to not just warm up for a workout, you have to think about warming up for a workout, or else unconsciously you won't want to do it.
Makes sense.
So I think what we've established so far is if you want to start working out or get back into working out, you have to start out slowly, physically and mentally.
Exactly. Like
mentally, you have to be planning on doing something that you feel comfortable doing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, all right, good. So we've got, I think a couple of good points so far. Let's see. So, what are some, okay, so we talked about walking. That's kind of a generic thing that you could probably start out doing. What are some other ideas? Let's say someone wants to walk, but they also want to do something else, or they want to start something. What are some other examples of beginner exercises?
I like yoga for beginners. And yoga has different variations, different levels, and
from very, very easy to very, very hard.
Yes.
And
Yoga.
Anyways, if you don't want to do the hard, do the easy.
And by all means, always start. If you're brand new to fitness, always start with the very, very easy. But yoga is fun as well as relaxing. It involves meditation. So and it speaks back, I think, to where you just spoke about the mental aspect of it, like starting off slowly, physically and mentally. Yoga is perfect for that.
Yeah, in fact, you could have a yoga workout that consists entirely of stretching. Like there's a lot of, and maybe some minimal, strength type movements, like strength and flexibility type movements. In fact, I would say a lot of yoga is about flexibility, strength, balance, and things like that. So you can definitely, and there's a lot on YouTube. If you wanted to get a YouTube video or something like that, you could definitely,
all kinds of stuff out there.
Yeah, definitely. So yoga is absolutely a great place to start and continue with. It's kind of designed to be safe and definitely in the lower injury percentage physical activities that you can do.
Yeah, you're actually doing what helps prevent injuries. You're stretching.
Yeah.
You're doing what you should be doing before and after your workouts anyway.
Yeah.
So.
And in fact, a lot of people that I bring through workouts, we will start and end with yoga. So, a lot of the stuff, I'm asking Mr. Lewis because he's he does this. This is what he does full time. So, but I do a lot of this stuff too with my clients.
Absolutely.
So okay. So we've got yoga, we've got walking. What's another example of an exercise or a type of exercise that would be good for people that are starting out or maybe picking it back up from a hiatus?
So what you may have noticed trending in the fitness world are circuit type of exercises where because ideally if you're trying to, especially if you're trying to lose weight, you want to increase your endurance. Ideally you want to implement some kind of cardio into your workout as well, along with your strength and endurance training. So circuit training is a good way to involve all of those energy systems, your endurance, your cardio, or your muscular endurance, your cardio, your strength, is a way to involve all of those at once.
Okay, so what is circuit training? What does that mean?
So a circuit would be when you're doing intervals of different exercises. So a basic circuit would be something along the lines of like modified push-ups on your knees, jumping jacks, a wall sit, and a plank. And you're doing those in intervals of 15 seconds each in a rotation.
Okay, so the idea being you're doing different types of exercises so you don't stress any of the muscle groups too much at one time.
Exactly.
So I think that's why you're saying that's a good way to start. And it's good for intermediate and advanced also.
Yes.
But if you are working different muscle group, like if you do one exercise that works one muscle group and then another exercise, like let's just say that you do some sit-ups and then you do maybe some, like push-ups.
Yes.
That's a completely different muscle group. And then you do maybe some squats. That's a completely different muscle group. And then you go back to the first one. And what ends up happening is you're not stressing any particular muscle group too much at one time. Now, later, you might want to focus on, later you might want to have a
leg
chest
day.
and tries day or a leg day or whatever. But I think the point that Mr. Lewis is trying to make is that by having circuit training, it's safer.
Yes.
You will have less soreness because you'll tend to have more soreness in the beginning anyway,
Yeah.
which is good. Soreness is good because that
great.
means that your body is repairing and getting stronger, and in doing so, burning more calories. In fact, people who have been working out for a long time, especially if they do strength training, they try to look for ways to get that soreness back because you don't get it as much after a while. You actually get your success is accelerates the fastest in the first 10 or 11 weeks of working out. So after that, first of all, you're healthier and you're fitter, and because your muscles are denser, you're burning more calories just by being awake. But the acceleration of how much muscle you're building and so on has slowed down by that point. So the point is that you can get a lot of benefit. And actually there's something called periodization where you do 10 weeks and then you do 10 weeks of something else so you can get that benefit again. So you can actually get that benefit continuously by changing what you're doing.
Haven't heard that word in a while.
So,
that back up.
it is a little bit more advanced, but the point is, I wanted to point out that you get a lot of benefit in the first 10 weeks, we'll say. But then even after that, you could do a different type of exercise and get all that benefit again. So you can really make your workouts non-strenuous and really effective just by doing it smart. That's something that a trainer can help you do. You could maybe research it and look it up or whatever, but you can definitely, if you think about exercise in this way so that it's comfortable, safe, not too strenuous, and really effective, you can do that. That is something that you can, you just have to be smart about it.
Absolutely. There are a lot of great beginner, intermediate, and advanced circuit training videos online that you can check out. And actually, the example I had just given, the 4 exercises I gave, that is the perfect beginner.
Go over it one more time for everybody.
That was a 15-second plank, 15-second modified push-ups. When I say modified, I mean you're on your knees, and 15 seconds of jumping jacks and a 15-second wall sit. I like wall sits for beginners over squats because, granted, most very completely deconditioned beginners can't squat properly, which I understand. So I like wall sits better because you can actually gauge how low you can go. So I like wall sits for beginners. How much pressure you can put in your knees, things like that. So I like wall sits. and 15-second intervals. I would say go for a minute rest between each round and start with like 4 rounds. I think that would be a good start for a beginner. And you can increase your seconds, you can decrease your rest period as you're trying to increase, your workout basically and progress. So,
Okay, so the main point for this is by, your workouts. If you're starting a workout program, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be super strenuous. It can be very safe and comfortable, and you can allow your body time to get used to it and get stronger and get fitter, and everything will become easier in a short amount of time.
Absolutely.
So what are some common pitfalls that people have maybe at work or just lifestyle that hinders their fitness?
So I like to think that most people I've met have jobs where they have office jobs where they're sitting mostly or all day, and in that lifestyle, I've noticed that most people don't prepare their food, so they're subject to whatever's in the vending machine or in the cafeteria.
Subject to
At
the mercy of
they're at the mercy of the vending machine.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. So that happens, and that's what I actually witnessed. I'm walking around the office, and most people have a bag of chips or candy or something from the vending machine at their desk all the time. Like that's what they're eating all day. There are people in the office I see that I never see them eat any actual food on an 8 or 9 hour shift. So with that, there are 2 things going on. So you're mostly inactive for the majority of your day. You're sitting down, and you're eating junk at the same time. So you're just storing that fat and that junk that you're consuming as fat, and it's not being, you're just sitting there. It's not being burned productively, and then a lot of times these people are not working out either. So
yeah. So preparing your food. Do you prepare your food?
Absolutely. I would say 90% of days and times I prepare my food.
What kind of food do you prepare?
I used to make salads all the time and have a couple apples and a protein bar, and that would be good for my day. The salad would have spinach, tomatoes, a chopped up turkey burger, things like that. I've recently switched to just putting all that stuff into a smoothie to try to streamline everything and leverage my time a little better. And then I would just...
Not the turkey.
No, but the turkey doesn't go in the blender. But I haven't tried that yet.
Kidding.
I haven't tried it yet. Maybe I will try it, but I haven't yet. But you can put like... I can put like protein powders and other things in my blender. I still have my protein bars. I can still make the burgers when I get home, or eat my salmon, when I get home, and make sure I'm getting enough protein. But now I've kind of joined the whole smoothie trend, so to speak. I kind of joined that now. So yeah, that's how I've been doing it.
And what's interesting? Something I heard a long time ago, and I really found this to be the case. When you are shopping, the best foods, when I say the best foods, I mean the foods that your body can process into energy more efficiently. Mm. Whenever you eat food or take anything in, your body wants to make it all energy. Your body would love it if it could turn all that stuff that you eat into energy. Unfortunately, there are limitations to that. And those limitations for turning the food into energy are the fewest for foods that have to be refrigerated. Okay, or fresh foods.
Right.
So when you go to the grocery store and you're buying food, the food that's on the outside has to be refrigerated, just because how the grocery store has to be set up. If it has to be refrigerated, or if it if it goes bad quickly, like within a week or so, it's going to be better for you. Your body is going to be able to process it into energy. It's not going to be forced to turn it to fat. Your body does not like turning food into fat because it requires more energy than turning it into energy. It's harder for your body to turn food into fat than
Wow.
it is to turn it into energy. So your body wants to turn everything into energy. And there are the fewest obstacles to that if you buy food that goes bad quickly. You know, if it's that's a horrible way to say it, but like fresh produce,
No.
refrigerated foods that have to be refrigerated. The closer you are to the center of the store, the more preservatives there are. And preservatives prevent your body from effectively turning or efficiently turning that food into energy. It still can to a certain extent, but it can't do it as effectively. So you are making things easier on your body by shopping on the outside of the grocery store.
Yeah, and notice, like, even for your common lazy person, that might be like a brilliant marketing strategy for the junk food, because it's easier to stay in the middle of the store than it is to do a lap around the whole store.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm doing in the store. All I do is a lap.
Yeah,
I do a
around the
circumference of the
outside,
store.
Yeah.
So
And you said the vending machine. Vending machine is the best example of food that doesn't have to be refrigerated and
Exactly.
lasts forever.
Exactly.
The longer a food lasts, the less your body is able to turn it into energy, and the more it's forced to turn it into fat. So, by trying to, and now this is not something you do overnight. One of the mistakes people make is they try to convert all their whole diet into like fresh produce or something overnight. And generally that is not going to be, they're not going to have lasting success with that. So my suggestion for this kind of change, and just about every kind of change, is, what can I do today that is better than what I did yesterday? If I could change one thing today or this week and then keep it for the rest of my life, what would that be? And it could be, say, oh, well, I always, and you start with the stuff that is easiest to give up. So, for example, let's just say that, when you go to the grocery store, you pick up, a box of cereal or something like that. Let's say you're at that level. Maybe you're at the level where when you go to the store, you get, 5 candy bars, and you're like, well, let me just get 2 candy bars this time. That's great. Hey, that's great.
It's progress.
It's progress.
It's progress.
Or maybe you're at the level where you get 1 candy bar and you're like, I don't really need that. Let me just leave that at home and leave everything else the same. And then next week I'll do something else. That is much easier. It's much more sustainable, and you won't miss it. Your body does not change quickly. Your body changes slowly. So if you change your diet drastically, your body will miss whatever you were having before.
Withdrawals.
That's an important thing. Yeah, it'll be withdrawals. Your body will get used to whatever you're having, even if it's bad for you. So if you are used to something and you drastically change it, it doesn't matter what it is. Your body is going to reject it and have withdrawals. And that's true from going from healthy food to unhealthy food or unhealthy food to healthy food. Just because your body withdraws for something doesn't mean it's good or bad. That just means you were used to it. So the best way to avoid having that problem is to do slow changes. So change
Absolutely.
little by little to give your body time to catch up. So you're at the grocery store, what is something that you could do that would move your diet toward being fresher and healthier? Say, oh, well, and you could tell, again, you could use like this map of like the middle of the store being the things you want to eliminate. Like, what do I get that has to be preserved or that is preserved and doesn't have to be refrigerated? What I'm trying to think of, like, what is there in the middle of the grocery store? I haven't even been there. What's the middle of the grocery store?
That doesn't have to be refrigerated? I mean, that would be cereal for one, right?
Yeah, like cereal, things that you could just leave out. If you can leave it
Yeah.
out, it's not doing you any favors.
Yeah.
If you can leave it
Oh,
out,
okay.
it's not doing you any
I think I
favors.
misunderstood your question.
Cereal's a good example.
Yeah, but it is a good example.
Yeah,
But I
so,
think
but
I
like
still
there's other
misunderstood your
examples too.
question.
And of course, some say, oh, well, there's these healthy cereals too. And it's true, some cereals are healthy than
Yeah.
others. And maybe you're at the point where you're like, okay, I'm going to switch out this unhealthy cereal for this cereal that's healthier. And hey, that's great. That's better than what you were doing yesterday. So, and you don't want to just completely change because your body will reject it and it'll be a lot harder and you won't want to stick with it. You could do that, but you're statistically going to have more success doing it slowly.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
So trying to stay away from anything that you can just leave out, and more things that are, like fresh, and healthy and making
Exactly.
something. Yeah.
Exactly. And FYI, maybe if you are not comfortable making a smoothie, if you don't have a blender yet or a good blender where you can make a quality smoothie, the kinds of things I put in there are things that help sustain you as well, like strawberries, blueberries. They have fiber. They help keep you full, with the help of water. One of your other macros as well. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water, and water is also a natural appetite curber. So I find many of these folks I've been observing, or that I observe in the office, hardly drink any water. And that's something else that can help sustain them and not make them crave the vending machine and junk foods that they eat. Because if you're drinking like maybe 30 ounces of water a day, I mean, that's just not enough. You want to get a lot more water to help curb your appetite, circulate your nutrients, so you actually feel sustained and energized throughout the day. And
So what did you say you saw on the guy's desk?
oh, the guy had one of my coworkers, former coworkers at a place I used to work. He had about 5 empty bottles of juice. I can't remember the name brands. I don't know if it were Juicy Juice. I
Like not fruit juice.
Not
but
like
some kind of like preserved juice.
not legitimate fruit juice, but like some kind of like
Juice
high-
artificially.
high
whatever.
fructose corn
Right,
syrup.
yeah.
Look that up. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's what he was drinking. So each bottle
He had
had
what on his desk?
like 5 empty bottles.
5 empty bottles.
5
Okay.
empty bottles.
Did he
dude.
drink them all that day?
I asked him if he drank all of them that day. He said yes, and I'm looking like, okay, well, how many calories was that? And just mostly sugar intake, because it's okay to take you want calories, but how much of it was sugar intake calories? And each bottle must have been about 23 grams of sugar. So he did well over 100 grams of sugar, in maybe like 4 hours. And he's sitting down all day.
So what does that do? There's a couple of things I want to ask about. What is bad or good about sugar? And also, I want to ask about drinking your calories and drinking sugar and the difference between that and eating. So
Absolutely.
So sugar and the drinking are the two
and-
things I want to ask about.
And especially how it compounds with a sitting job. So every other American, exactly half of America, is either pre-diabetic or fully diabetic. So, and that's besides the point. So we developed something called insulin resistance. So that comes from taking large influxes of sugar. So you take big intakes of sugar at once. Your insulin comes and clears it out. That's when you have that insulin reaction, when you're taking large intakes of sugar. So then you're developing diabetes, or you're pre-diabetic. You're impeding your ability to process sugar for energy effectively
when you take in a lot of sugar.
when you're taking a lot of sugar, and then that's when more sugar becomes stored as fat. That's why diabetes and obesity are a trend together. So, and again, it's compounded with the fact that most likely you are inactive throughout your day, or you have a desk job or a job where you're sitting down a lot. So that in summation is about as best as I can put
So
it.
taking in a lot of sugar prevents your body from processing sugar effectively,
Yes.
which increases your risk of becoming pre-diabetic or diabetic.
Yes. And then you're also storing more fat at that point as well.
And you're storing more fat.
Yeah.
Okay. So, is there a difference between like artificial sugar and natural sugar? Like, what if you ate 50 bananas every day? Would
So-
you become diabetic? I don't know.
Actually, good question. So
Maybe we'll look that up and get back to you.
I want to, but here's the thing. You can. I mean, it's really about the balance of your macros. Your macros being water, carbs, fat, and protein. So ideally, the majority of carbs that you eat would be fiber and complex carbs versus sugar. So sugar is one of your carbs. And you want to balance these out because they all have functions. So just say that you have a day where like half of your intake is sugar and you don't have the balance of the rest of those macros. You're not getting your protein and fat, which help sustain you, help keep you full. So you're going to be craving more sugar or more junk because you're not sustained. And you have sugar, which is your primary energy source. That's what glucose is. But this energy is not completing its functionality in your body because the rest of your functionalities are not working properly because you don't have you're not balancing your other macros out. So that's why it's important to not be so heavy on the sugar. And I hope that answered your question. Like, what was your question again?
About natural versus
Okay, so the point I was trying to get at, even if you're taking in like a large, if it's an overdose of sugar is not going to matter if it's natural or artificial. If you're getting too much sugar, you're getting too much sugar. So look up some macro calculators online based upon your height and weight, your age and everything, your current fitness level. They have calculators for that online, and figure out where your balance should be between all your macros. Even with the water intake, it'll help you out with that as well. Because to answer your question, it wouldn't matter if you took in too much natural sugar, you can still get too much of it. To answer your question,
I'm sure, and that does make sense.
Yeah.
So I think that so one thing that I want to reemphasize about that is just this idea that you should have an honest idea of how you eat, what you eat, even if it's just with yourself, and start getting kind of a sense, maybe using some of these principles, of where you want to go. What direction do you want to take your diet?
Absolutely.
And here's, if you don't do anything else, our main purpose is really just to help people that are watching this video, maybe give you some ideas about what to do. We just want you to be successful and happy. And so if you don't do anything else, one suggestion is just, turning inward and asking yourself, what is one thing that I can do right now? Or what's something that I'm doing or not doing that I could easily change? I don't even care if I'm doing it. Like if it's like, oh, I have, a candy bar every day and I don't even care about it. I don't even want it. Okay? I don't even want it. I'm just in the habit of doing it.
It's just there.
Okay? So try to identify things like that, like something you wouldn't even miss, and be like, and start there. Be like, okay, you know what? I don't even care about this thing. I'm just not going to have it anymore. I'm going to have something else instead, or I'm going to do something else instead, or whatever. And maybe the next day or the next week or in a couple days, think again, okay, what am I doing or not doing that I could change that I wouldn't miss, and I'd be just as happy with that. And what'll happen is your body will sort of leapfrog up to that point, and like maybe right now, let's say you have like some kind of cereal for breakfast or something like that, and that's something you eventually want to quit, but right now you're not ready to do that. Once you've cut out like that candy bar, once you've cut it down to like one Starbucks a day, once you're at that point, maybe now, and then at that point your body will have had time to change, and then you're like, now I don't care, and I can replace that cereal with a, something healthy like, an apple and a piece of toast with sugar-free peanut butter or something like that. These are just random examples, but the point is, at some point you'll be ready for that. If you're not ready right now, don't do that right now. Do something else. Find something that will make you a healthier, happier person that you could change easily, and do that thing. And then once you get to that point, your body gets used to that and your mind gets used to that, then you'll be able to take the next level and you'll be fine with that too. So just, for this new year, start that way. Start by saying, okay, what can I do? Or let's say you're like really close to wanting to work out, you just don't quite make the time to do it. Take that step. Take a step that you could do and you've been wanting to do. Take that step, and what'll happen is the next step will be easier. Once you get used to step one, that's the thing. People think of step 4 and they're like, well, I can't do that. I guess I won't do anything. Unconsciously, they think that. So just go to step 1, identify, use your conscious mind to help the process. Take that one step that you can do, and then let your body and mind get used to that, and then you'll be ready for step 2.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll leave it at that for this time. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
feel free to leave a comment. We're always available for questions. Take care, and we will talk to you next time.
See ya.